Imagine you run a hotel. One day, a new guest comes in and wants to book a room for 1 hour, and he doesn't want to pay for the whole day. Even if you have a vacant room in your hotel, would you take that guest or not? Let me know in the comments what you think is the correct answer, and I'll return to this in a minute. So, what does this hotel analogy have to do with freelancing? Let me explain. If you are a freelancer, I'm sure you've heard this sentence from a potential client at least once. We have a quick small project for you. It's going to take just 2 or 3 hours of your time. In this video, I'll give you a few reasons why you shouldn't take that offer. And then I'll describe some situations when it's a good idea to take it. Like hotels, any freelancer, even the most productive one, has a maximum capacity of how many projects they can take on simultaneously. As a freelance video editor, I work for around 10 clients simultaneously, and usually that's my maximum capacity. I'll make a separate video about how I manage multiple projects at the same time. Still, unless you have a team of other professionals working for you, there is always a maximum number of jobs you can take on board before you reach your total capacity. But even the most successful freelancers get weeks or months when they don't work at their total capacity. During the year, I usually get 2 or 3 months like that, and that's when I get that tempting email from a potential client, promising decent pay for a small and quick project that will take only a few hours of my time. So what's the problem? Why is taking that small project a bad idea if you are not at total capacity? Here are 3 reasons why. First, let's go back to our imaginary hotel again. So you have an empty room and a guest standing at the reception desk, ready to pay for 1 hour, but not for the entire day. Unless you are a capsule hotel that works hourly, your answer as a good hotel manager should be no. Taking a new guest requires resources, even if you have an empty room. You need to check in the guest, you need to clean the room before he moves in, and then you will need to clean the room again after him, and so on. Doing all that work for only 1 hour of pay makes no sense. The same applies to freelance work. As a freelance video editor, I worked with hundreds of clients, and for me, managing clients can be much more complicated and time-consuming than the actual creative work I'm doing for them. Clients often don't appreciate that communication and client management takes a lot of time from the freelancer. It doesn't make sense to spend all that time and effort on a small project. It's simply not worth it. The second reason is that any small project can slowly grow into something big, and I don't mean that in a good way. Here is an example that happened several times before I started saying no to small projects. One day, a new client reached out with a small project with a fixed budget that would take only a half day of work. I wasn't very busy that week, so why not? I spent roughly an hour on a call with the client, getting briefed. I was then waiting for 2 hours for them to send me the project files so that I could start working. When they finally sent it, it turned out many of the files didn't match what they briefed me on. So we had to arrange another 1-hour-long call with someone else in the client company to review the details again and clear things up. Half of the day was already wasted before I even got a chance to start the work. When I finished the work, the client had feedback and minor changes. So I spent another few hours the next day actioning their feedback. And then I found out that the client's boss now needed to see the result, and he had his feedback. And every time, the feedback was manageable, so I wasn't stopping them and asking for more money for all the extra work gradually piling up. The project dragged on for over a week, eating up a couple of hours of my time every day while I was being paid very little for it. In other words, a small project means the budget is small, but you don't have any guarantee that the scope of work will not explode into something much bigger. The third reason you should avoid these small projects is to save your capacity for more significant projects. As you can see from that example I just talked about, communicating with the client was the most substantial part of my work. Managing clients is objectively challenging and time-consuming work, and it doesn't get any easier if the project is smaller. So even if I am not at my maximum capacity that month, I'd rather save that space for a potential big project that may come up at any moment. Now, accepting a small project offer is a good idea in some situations. But before getting there, please consider subscribing to my channel if you find this video interesting. I've started Freelance Avenue to share everything I've learned about developing a freelance business and becoming a successful freelancer. I hope you'll find my other videos interesting too. When does it make sense to accept a small project offer? Firstly, I accept the offer if it comes from an existing or returning client. As I said, onboarding a client is quite time-consuming, but if you already know the client well and have worked with them before, it will make things much more manageable. Secondly, it's worth taking a small project if you work with an hourly or daily rate, because if the project starts dragging, you can charge the client accordingly. Thirdly, small projects are safe if your services are highly automated and straightforward. If you are offering a service that can be streamlined and the communication with the client is minimal, then the size of the project is less critical. With all that said, no matter how big or small the project is, there are types of clients that you should avoid working with altogether. Check out this video next to know which clients I'm talking about.